What's up, people? It's Nadia
and Nicole,
bringing you another installment of the Wealth Twins Show,
where we bring you the best tips, tricks, and inside scoop on building your wealth on the road to financial independence.
And what does that mean?
We're trying to make work optional for you.
Fire your boss, people.
AKA fire your boss.
So today we're going to be talking about Vanguard.
I know a lot of you have been hearing about Vanguard and their index funds because they're pretty popular right now. But for those you don't know, Vanguard started the whole publicly traded index fund idea. The founder, John Bogle, created the public index fund as a way for everyday people like you and us to participate in the market. The purpose of an index fund is not to try to beat the market, it's actually to try to match the market, which is still very hard to do.
Now, Nicole, I'm going to ask you this because you have your MBA in financial instruments, which means she has a master's in the stock market. Okay. All right? Break it down what an index fund is. Okay. And what's an index?
An index fund is a mutual fund, a passively managed mutual fund that tracks an index. Now, what's an index? A very popular index that you might know of is the S&P 500. It's a basket of companies that it tracks, the 500 largest companies in America, right? That gives you an idea how the economy is going. So if those companies are doing well and they're making money and the index goes up, that means the economy overall is doing well. If the index goes down, that means the companies are losing money, and therefore, as a sign, the economy should be losing money.
You got that, people? Break it down now. Break it down.
Trying to make it simple for you.
All right. So as a person who has a Vanguard account and other brokers' account, I wanted to give you the real deal about opening up a Vanguard account when you're a beginner and you want to start trading index funds, okay?
Because you have a lot to choose from, and we want to make sure you get the best and one that's going to be helpful to you.
Yeah. Vanguard's claim to fame was that they were less expensive than other brokers' houses, but that's not the case anymore. I personally feel that Vanguard is more for people with a large retirement account who are looking to invest for the long term, okay? I suggest getting your feet wet with another broker first, then moving over to Vanguard when you're ready if you feel it's a good choice. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
All right? So in order to buy one of Vanguard's funds, they're like most popular index funds, the one like VTSAX, get a pen and pencil, people.
Yeah, these are called ticker symbols.
Right.
VTSAX is a ticker symbol for one of Vanguard's funds.
Yeah, V, Victor, T as in Tom, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, X as in X-ray. That's their Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund, okay? In order to even purchase or buy into this fund, you need to have at least $3,000. Nicole, do you have $3,000 when you're first starting to invest?
Not everybody, and also it could be a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
Trying to invest that much money into one thing.
Now the thing is, when you have $3,000, that $3,000 is used to buy shares into that index fund. That can make a lot of people nervous, dropping $3,000 on something, especially when you're starting out.
Yes.
The minimum to buy the VTSAX used to be $10,000.
So it's on a discount right now, but that's still $3,000, still a lot of change to drop on something.
Yeah, and that stopped a lot of people from getting into it, right?
Yeah, but there's another option out there that you can get into. And when it comes to buying stocks, the option that we like is called ETFs. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds. Very similar. It's another type of mutual fund, very similar to index funds. But the difference is you buy it like you would a stock. You buy it in the stock market and you buy it in terms of shares. So an ETF price is usually around the same price as a share of an actual single stock. So you can get an ETF for about $50, $90 or so.
Now, when you're first starting out, if you don't have $3,000 to invest, maybe you have $100 or $200 to invest. If you want to start getting into something like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund, you can buy their ETF, which is the
same
VTI. VTI, okay? Victor, Tom, Ida. All right? Same thing. It just allows you to get in on a smaller basis while happen to drop $3,000 when you're first doing it.
And you can buy it in the stock market. The index fund, you have to buy it at the net asset value, the NAV. Now that means you could buy it at the end of the day. You don't know what you're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's based on what it values at the end of the day. The ETF, you can buy it throughout the time the stock market is open.
Now, a lot of brokers right now are offering the same thing, like Charles Schwab, right? You don't have to use Vanguard in order to buy their mutual funds or to buy the ETFs. A lot of these brokers allow you to buy this stuff. The benefit of using Vanguard to buy their total market fund is that there will be no fee on it. But if you use Charles Schwab or something like that to buy the ETF, there's no fee on that either. So don't feel like you need to do it.
So right? I'm kind of confused. When you're saying Charles Schwab, are you buying Charles Schwab's ETFs and index funds, or are you buying a Vanguard fund through Charles Schwab?
Well, when I talk about brokerage accounts, think of a broker as a middleman to allow you to get into the stock market. You can't go buy stock by going into the store and just purchasing that way. You have to have a middle person that will be your eyes and ears of that person that goes into the stock market for you and purchase it for you. Now, Charles Schwab and Vanguard are both brokers. Vanguard is a broker that a lot of people count on, but in my opinion, is not probably appropriate for the average investor when they're first starting out. Charles Schwab is a little easier to understand. They have a bank account that comes with it. They have brick and mortar places that you can actually walk into and talk to someone. Those are a little more convenient for people who are just beginning, right?
Now, also, Charles Schwab and others like Fidelity have started to change their business model. Before, Vanguard used to get a lot of everyday people because their fees were so small.
Yep.
Now, Charles Schwab, they used to also trade. They used to charge for different trades. Charles Schwab, Fidelity, and others have decided they have no fees on a lot of different things now.
Yeah, they're going after that everyday investor too. So right now, it's a good time to start investing because everybody's fighting for your business. So they dropped the fees now.
Not even just that. The index fund that Nadia mentioned earlier, the VSTAX, has a 3,000 minimum. You can get an index fund that's pretty similar to the Vanguard at Charles Schwab or even at Fidelity with no minimum, meaning you can buy it for $1.
Yep. So when I first opened my Vanguard account, I'll let you know now, it wasn't the easiest to set up. And I'm a pretty tech savvy person, right? When you go to their website, it's pretty hard to navigate. I was jumping around trying to figure out how I do my first trade, how to link my bank account to start setting up automatic investing, and it wasn't easy. I had to get on the phone with a representative to try to help me figure it out, right? The problem is when you start getting on the phone and asking people to book a trade for you or whatever, which you should never do. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is appropriate for you.
No. They charge you a fee of $25 because you have a live person that is going to book that trade for you,
It's a little bit of hand-holding. You have to pay for the hand-holding.
Now, where Vanguard shines is their low expense ratios on their index, not their customer service, right?
Now, why do we keep saying index funds, right? The reason why we like index funds is because you can buy one fund and get access to a bunch of different companies, different securities, because it's a mutual fund. It gives you a pool of securities that you just pay a certain amount and you get a little percentage of each one of the companies that are in that fund. So the biggest thing, and if you remember in our last video, we talked about one of the biggest mistakes that beginning investors make.
Yeah.
Is fees, and if you haven't seen that video, please check it out. Fees are a killer. So Vanguard having low fees, and now Charles Schwab and all of them following that, you want to pay attention to these low fees, and then you want to diversify. And that's where index funds and ETFs come in and why they're so important.
And generally right now, a lot of the fees are pretty even. Over the long term, they might compare better, but right now it's pretty even, right? So my thing is when it comes to choosing a broker and trying to buy index funds and getting into investing, I think you should go with the one that has a user interface like their website or their app that's easier for you to understand. So this makes you more comfortable when you're trying to get started out, right? When you're going on to Vanguard and you're trying to play around in their website and then you maybe try to call a broker and try to book it over the phone, it's a problem, right? But the thing is also is that the customer service on this, if you're getting confused and you want to look and buy something but you don't know, the customer service at Vanguard is only open for a limited amount of time. It's like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, right?
Really?
If you use other brokers like Charles Schwab, they're open 24/7. And I tell you now, you will get an American every single time.
Nadia, you can tell, is a big fan of Charles Schwab.
I don't get paid anything from Charles Schwab.
Yes.
I like using Charles Schwab. I think it's very easy, and I think it's good for beginners to start doing it.
And they also have an app, right?
Yeah. Their app and their website is very easy to use, and I've never had a problem. And whenever I use anything for their customer service, I've been pleasantly surprised by everybody I spoke to. If they have the answer, they give it to me. If I want to have a trade and I'm not familiar with booking that trade through their platform, they'll walk me through it on my end, and I'll do everything on my site, on my own, and then book it. And the person could be talking me through the whole thing. As long as you don't have them book the trade for you, it's fine.
Yeah,
but they'll stay on the phone with you and walk you through the whole process.
So to sum this up, right, in terms of Vanguard, what are the pros versus the cons of Vanguard?
Well, the pros are they have great index funds. They have low fees. The cons are it's very difficult to go and try to do that on your own through their website. You'll have to speak to their customer service. And the problem with Vanguard customer service is that it's tiered. Okay? When I say tiered, I mean there's different levels. There's levels to this.
There's levels to this.
So the first level of Vanguard goes up to $50,000, right? Then
That means what?
you have to have $50,000 invested with them before you get out of that first tier.
Okay.
To get into the second tier, it's between $50,000 to $500,000.
And what happens when you're in these different tiers?
The level of customer service varies, and there's also fees associated with it too. So the average investor, especially beginner, is not going to have $50,000 to $500,000 to invest. Okay, Charles Schwab doesn't have that tiered customer service. They're going to treat you the same as they would with a person who has $1 million invested with them.
Hopefully.
Yeah. My thing is, when you're starting out as an investor and you're looking to do index funds, everybody will point you to Vanguard, which is a great thing to use.
But you don't need Vanguard's website to actually purchase Vanguard securities.
Yeah. It's not the olden days. Vanguard is not the end-all, be-all anymore. The index funds are great. I have them as a broker also, but when you're first starting
We
out...
also own them as funds too.
Yeah. When you're first starting out, I suggest you look at different brokers who make it easier for you to book. You might pay a fee here and there, but if you build up your experience trading, then maybe go over to Vanguard.
Now, we're not stopping you. We're just giving you some advice to beforehand, right? So, what I suggest you do, don't just take our word for it. We would love to see, tell us what you think about Vanguard versus Charles Schwab or any other broker. If there's a broker you like that we don't know about, we would love to hear it in the comments. Check out both websites. Tell us what you think about them, your user experience in the comments, and we'd love to know what you think about this video.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more things about index funds or beginning investing, just let us know. We're making these videos for you.
So make sure you subscribe and tell all your friends about us.
Yeah, and make sure you're on the lookout for the next video.
And hit like.